All right, let's go. Let's talk about this Brittney Griner situation.
Let's go.
All right, so I saw a news report that Brittney Griner was recently transferred to a prison that they call a penal colony. Now, Russia has 35 of these that are for women only, right? She was transferred to a penal colony without anybody knowing from the U.S. So this happened while completely under the radar. She's moved to a location. Nobody in the U.S. knows her location. Nobody's able to report her location. She's in one of the harshest penal colonies that that Russia has. I want to know your thoughts on this. First, what do you think about her being transferred off the grid for the crime that she committed? And I'll start with you.
Initially, on my devil's advocate side, I would take just off the first part of the question you asked about her being transferred unbeknownst. I would say, well, it's a lot of media coverage around this.
Yeah.
Anything happens, media gonna be right there.
Yeah.
We don't want to, cause a big firestorm, media storm, whatever. We gonna move her secretly. We're going to move her under the radar so that the media stays out the way. It's not a big spectacle.
That makes sense.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? So that's the angle I would have took initially, just off of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we start talking about her being in these harsh camps, some of the harshest in their country and whatnot, then it starts to seem like, well, damn, what's
really going on?
Because my initial stance was, bro, you do the crime, you gotta do the time.
Yeah,
right. We still gotta hold each other accountable.
To that point, in my research, I found out that in Russia, a drug offense is equivalent to, or they call a drug offense the equivalent to an offense towards a crime against the country. And they give these penalties out for these drug offenses real similar to the penalties they give for murder, which is why she got a 9-year sentence here. Now, everybody was expecting her to be home soon because there was news about a prisoner transfer,
right,
and a prisoner trade.
I always felt like that wasn't gonna happen, bro.
Yeah. Well, they wanted I felt like it wasn't gonna happen, but because they wanted an arms dealer back at a time that they at war, they wanted an illegal arms dealer back at a time that they at war.
But the United States thought that they would want him back that bad that they would give her back.
But this is the thing, though. Let's be honest. So I don't think that that's right. Although I do agree with you do the crime, do the time, I don't think that it's right that she's been put in these facilities for the crime that she's been put in it for. I always said that, hey, if over there that standard is 9 years for whatever, then she deserves what she got.
But we American, and we think about it like this.
In Colorado.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with that. But at the same time, I start to ask myself, bro, what's the deeper point? And it can't just be, oh, you do the crime, you do the time at this point.
I think politics. It's got to be politics, yo. With everything that's going on, what we do know is that our country has put sanctions on Russian goods.
Well, see, this what I think. I think that because, like people saying about the trading shit, like trading person for person, if we being honest, Brittney Griner became a big name because of this shit. Not saying she wasn't a big name in the NBA world, but she became a big household name because of this shit. So when they use the excuse like, oh, if this was LeBron, he would have been back, woo woo, it's different for her.
I think we passed that at this point, huh?
It's different for her because she isn't as big of an asset to America. When we talking about this trade ain't for me and you, the likes of me and you. Yeah. This trade is for America. Yes. So when you thinking about this trade and how big of an asset she is to America, she on a minute scale compared to your LeBrons and your fans who seeing it outside of the political world and saying, yo, that's fucked up. She don't deserve that. Yeah. Thinking with an American mind frame and not a Russian mind frame. Hey, niggas get 9 years for this every day, B.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie, it's not from the perspective of fans, it's from the perspective of Americans. We feel like they're so wrong because in America you wouldn't get 9 years for a play. Right. But like you said, that's not America. That's not America. Russia. And wasn't she already playing basketball out there before?
Yeah, she's a champ out there.
But so she was very aware of how strict they were when it came to these.
We had that conversation before. Look, hey, there's another thing. There's another question I think needs to be asked, and that's and this ain't gonna be the popular opinion, right? But we talked about this before, how because it's Brittney Griner is getting all of this news coverage, which leads me to ask, how many Americans have had to go through this and have not gotten the coverage that Brittney Griner has gotten? I want somebody, if they see this, to send me that information and let me know.
I'll do you one better. How many Americans is going through the same shit Brittney Griner going through in America? Over here. Mm-hmm. That's like when I see people say, "Oh, feed the kid, feed the hungry" over there, and we got millions of homeless and hungry over here.
Right.
Yeah, everybody deserves to eat, but I cannot consciously step over my people here to feed somebody over there. I see it the same way.
Yeah. That's real. Well, for the record, she appealed her 9-year sentence and it was rejected. I want to talk about the difficulties that she gonna have over there. So in these prisons, we looking at these prisons have like armed guards and towers like you see on TV.
I have a question. How they know she in one of the roughest colonies if we don't even know where she at? How
God damn it!
I think that's based on the 35. Well, I think that's based on the knowledge that they have of the 35 high security.
Are all 35 of them that harsh? Is that what
yeah, I think that's the level for that.
One of them.
If they don't know where she is. This is the thing. They say she's in the worst of the colonies, but how do you know when you don't know which one she's in?
If I said that, then I misspoke.
Oh,
she's in one of the worst ones because she's in one of those 35. Those 35 are the highest security prisons for women.
So they know she in one of them. They just don't know which one she in.
They don't know where. So they don't know where she's been transferred. They got 35 locations where she could be, right?
Okay.
At these locations, they got stricter rules, high walls, barbed wire. Now, in Russia, I found that being gay in Russia is a crime in itself. So anything like lesbianism is looked at as a form of a malicious violation of the law.
Well, that's
a quote.
How come they letting her play basketball and be a big old star over there if they're
I think that got more to do with her being American.
No, knowledge she's a lesbian.
But I think the crime has to do with an act. Right. So like if you identify as that and
like
from the U.S.
trying to get married, they're gay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they talking about is an act. Okay. So she's dealing with that, which means that she's walking into prison, black in Russia, American in Russia, tall as shit, like not average height for a woman in Russia. And gay. So I'm wondering, like, on one hand, I'm seeing that a lot of the reporters believe that because of how high profile she is, then the warden of this prison has reason to keep her safe. On the other hand, I'm wondering between all these things, including the communication barrier because she don't speak the language, what kind of problems is she gonna face in a place like this over this weed charge?
Well, this is a question I would have to ask. And this is being realistic. It may not be popular opinion, but it's realistic. How comfortable do we actually expect jail to be?
Thank you. I was going to bring that up, but I didn't want to cut you off. So I think the issue is that like jail in America, every country says this, jail in America is like a vacation. Homeless people purposely commit crimes when it gets colder outside to go to jail because they get 3 square meals. They, even if it's not warm, they're not laying outside. They know they have somewhere to sleep every single night. So I feel like, of course, us as Americans, our jail system isn't harsh like that. So anything beyond 3 meals with a cot and they giving me a blanket and a sheet and they got me clean clothes and I got towels to bathe with, anything beneath that, we think it's horrible. Yeah. But why do people get to buy stuff for comfort when they're in jail? Because jail's supposed to be uncomfortable, but we got people trying to go.
But to your point, there's the person from the country that goes to jail. That's the average citizen, right? Then there's the person that shows up that's different from everybody else in there. I don't think that's necessarily a prison thing. It's a population thing. And that's why I think like this is going to be a real harsh penalty when it comes to those things I just talked about, the language barrier and her being completely different from what the inmates that are from Russia that's in there. I'm wondering because I know in prisons here you get targeted for. Yeah, which is why she might not be in Gen Pop.
And all of that. It's not like she went over there for the first time, so the people that she is surrounded by, if any, because she's a star, you know how they do stars, you're going to get separated. So if she is around people, it's not like these people don't know who she is and they just treat her like an average Joe.
They're probably fans, you know, especially that they say
she's won Russian championships over there.
Could be, man. I'm leaving room for the possibility that somebody see a big timer come in there and notice that, oh, you ain't that in here. I'm in charge. And
if she's a big star there, then imagine what she might be doing for their economy, you know? So they
just being there?
Just being there. So that warden might feel like, hey,
do you watch the WNBA? You watch the WNBA?
Look at what the WNBA makes and then what the NBA makes.
Where that money coming from?
I'm not going to be funny.
Where that money going to come from? If we all agree to pay the WNBA more, where the fuck are we going to get that money from? But I didn't just say that.
Where were you going with that?
All I said was, well, look at what the WNBA makes versus what the NBA makes.
Yeah, it's a different pay, but that's why I say that.
But look at the revenue that the NBA generates versus the revenue that the WNBA
that's why I'm going with it.
Y'all making the same point.
That's why I'm going with it.
He want to argue with me so bad.